Okay, so today we have with us Josh Parrish. He is a 2015 graduate of Marion High School. And I'm so excited to get to talk to Josh. He's one of the most positive, encouraging students I've ever had the fortune of working with. So I just want to start out, Josh, by thanking you for being here today and ask you if you wouldn't mind just to share a little bit about what you did when you were in high school, what you were involved with that kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Hudgens. I think the most important thing I did in high school was I took every single class that Ms. Hudgens had. That's
There
why
you go.
the reason I am where I am today.
Oh, shameless plug.
Uh, but yeah, I got like Ms. Hudgens said, I graduated in 2015. I was on the football team for 4 years. Got involved with student council, the Friends in Christ, FBLA. Really just tried to pour out and soak it all up as a high school student, and was really fortunate to have a ton of really awesome experiences with the great clubs that I was in.
Well, that's good. Yeah, you are a very active student in a lot of different arenas at the school, and well known for that. So after high school, once you graduated, could you share your career path? So what happened from there until where you are today?
Yeah, this is a really long story, so I apologize,
No,
but
this is great.
uh, yeah, it's packed in. But yeah, so I left high school and I started at Maryville University in the fall of 2015 as a Rawlings Sport Business Management student. I real quick, just getting into sport business management, I took a class with Jason Varner, and my sophomore year, it was a sport business class at Marion High School. It was supposed to be only for juniors and seniors, but he let me in as a sophomore, and that class changed my whole life. It really allowed me to fall in love with just the sports industry, the behind the scenes of what makes it all happen. So that's the reason even I got to Maryville University was because of that class and Mr. Varner.
Shout out to
Uh,
Jason Varner.
yes, 1,000 shout outs, honestly. But so I got to Maryville. Maryville is pretty well known for their sport business program. They do a ton to help out the students with internships, job opportunities, volunteer opportunities, and so being as active as I was in high school, I really wanted to jump in. I miss playing football, obviously, and so I wanted to jump in and see what I could do with the St. Louis Rams, right? So like that was as a freshman year, I started interning with the St. Louis Rams. I was an 18-year-old working in the NFL game day, which is pretty crazy. But just the opportunities that Maryville allowed me to have was unbelievable. And so this was their last year in St. Louis that I got to intern for them. So I got to really we called the intern game day assistant intern. I worked on I sold some 50/50 tickets. I worked helping direct fans where they need to go. Basically, just kind of someone needs some help, I can help them out, take them to this suite or down to this place or whatever. So that was a really awesome experience. It really, I think one of the most important things is it allowed me to interact with people who worked as professionals in the sport business industry. And so that was one thing that I had really never done. I interact with my professors, obviously, but never been like, hey, you're full time in the field that I want to be in. So building those relationships was huge, and networking there was awesome. And so I took advantage of every single opportunity. And so I volunteered 10, 12, 13 times over my freshman year, just different organizations, and tried to build a self brand, I guess, if you will. And so then I came across the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. It's called Arch Madness. It's held in St. Louis every year. Well, Maryville gets some pretty premium spots to work that tournament. And so while I was working there, I got to work all 4 days. I worked a ton of hours, and it was hard, but a ton of fun. And I think I went up to every single person and was like, hey, I'm Josh Parrish. How's it going? Hey, I'm Josh Parrish, and just wanted to find out about him and get the business cards. And I found a guy, his name was Jim. He ran the interns for Arch Madness for Missouri Valley Conference. And I said, Jim, I'd love to talk about what it takes to be your intern come the fall. And Jim said, all right, give me a call in September. This was back in March. So I waited over the summer, gave him a call in September, and he said, okay, let's go out for lunch. And I took him out for lunch. My interview with the Missouri Valley Conference was I had to parallel park downtown St. Louis. I don't know, it had nothing to do with sports, but he wanted to see me parallel park against a high-pressure situation. So at the time, I don't know if Marion High School does teach parallel parking. Back in 2012, they definitely did not teach parallel parking. So I don't know. but it worked out. So I ended up getting an internship at the Missouri Valley Conference and focused really on sponsorships, which is what I do now. But focused on sponsorships for the tournament and running the, basically holding up the Missouri Valley end of the deal, the contract that businesses would sign in promotions and that stuff. So worked that all through, and then come January of my sophomore year. So this started my sophomore year. I worked at Missouri Valley Conference from January of my sophomore year. Jim left the Missouri Valley Conference, and he went to do a new job, and so I was the only employee of Learfield Sports, who I worked for at the Missouri Valley Conference, and I was a 19-year-old sophomore. So this was like a month before the tournament. Tournament's the first week of March, and so it was pretty crazy. I got to essentially run the promotions for the Missouri Valley Conference tournament in a capacity that I should have never been able to do. So it was a ton of really good experience. I got to coordinate all the volunteers. The tournament went off without a hitch. It was awesome. The promotions ran perfectly. Everything was awesome.
I mean, talk about high motivation. It's all on you. So
yeah, it was crazy. I was working like 10 or 12 hours a week, and then when Jen left, I ended up working like 25. I was like pushing it, and but it was. I mean, honestly, experience that pushed me to the field I am in now with sports sponsorship. It was amazing. And so then I knew I wanted to do more internships and more experiences, but I also wanted to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. So I took my sophomore year summer, and I moved to Crown Point, New Mexico, and I worked as like an intern for a missionary intern for a company called Next Step Student Ministries, and I got to build houses and preach a little bit in New Mexico. And I think I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. I wanted to have experiences, after the college that I knew I would cherish the rest of my life, that kind of stuff. So that was an amazing experience as well. I got to live in the desert for an entire summer, and I think it's just all these experiences. I think the theme of my entire career is I wanted to shape and mold myself into the career professional that I wanted to be like, and emulating a lot of people that I've met along the way. I'll try to wrap this up soon. I apologize, but
no, you're doing great. This is information for students. This is great.
So I working in sports. I took my junior year. I worked for a company called the NAIA, the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. There, I worked again another college basketball tournament. My job was to sell ticket packages, group ticket packages of 20 or more for the NAIA conference tournament in Kansas City. So I made phone calls from my dorm room in St. Louis to businesses in Kansas City. Basically, I just knew that sales is a great experience to have, and I like sales a lot, and I wanted to get an experience in sales on my resume. This is a very key part of my journey. I made probably 1,000 calls over however many months, and I sold effectively 0 tickets.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was a good experience of sales, but I dealt with a ton of rejection, a ton of it. Every single day was constant no. And it really ended up, the NAI ended up canceling the internship, and they've never done it again. It didn't work out with what they thought it was going to be. And businesses were more so wanting to buy tickets on the day of versus months in advance. And so it ended up working out. But that experience was actually a confidence boost, which sounds weird, but I really got to understand the sales process and what it takes to build relationships and what it takes to make it in sales. And really it's every no makes you get you closer to your next yes. It's you got to handle rejection, got to keep on being positive, and I think that taught me a lot.
That's character building,
Yeah.
to be able to learn how to handle rejection or difficulties and still press on. So that's
Yeah.
good.
And I think it came after the fact because I talked to CEOs, presidents, owners, marketing managers, directors of whatever, and every single time it was no, get out of here, no, maybe, and then no. So at the time I was a little down, and then at the end of the internship I realized how much better I'd gotten, and really what the value of that experience was. And that was huge for me, and I think if I was, and I should have said I'm never getting into sales again, but I think it ended up drawing me a little bit closer to sales, and so at that point in my journey, I've had an experience in sponsorship, of sales, operations, and so I was like, man, I still have no clue I wanted to do necessarily. Like, sports is such a broad industry, and so I was like, maybe I'll jump into marketing, maybe I'll jump into sales again, sponsorship, we'll see. And then I want to do a marketing internship. So I started with Ballpark Village. I don't know, so it's in St. Louis, kind of across from Busch Stadium for some people who might not know, but it's an entertainment venue. There's a bunch of bars, restaurants. They host a lot of events. And so I became a marketing intern with Ballpark Village, and I would put on a lot of events and market and movie nights for kids, but also like opening day stuff for the Cardinals and that kind of stuff. So it was sports, but also a lot of like event management. And I had a blast doing that, and got to work with a couple of people at Maryville doing it. And it was a lot of like understanding what marketing does, for a business. And some of it was data collection. And so being able to see how customers think, and then how can we market to them. And so that was a really cool, in-depth, ground level experience into what marketing can do for a business. And so I got to be pretty creative, and I got to walk around St. Louis in a lobster costume one day, like to promote lobster
I saw
event.
a picture of that. I'm pretty sure I saw that.
So I just got to, it was just a lot of fun. I got to do some pretty cool like brainstorming stuff, but then like action on the ground, data collection stuff, which was awesome. So that was the spring of my junior year, and then summer of my junior year, I got to move to Fort Myers, Florida, and work as a Rawlings in marketing and sales intern in Fort Myers, Florida, and basically sell baseball gloves and bats to tournaments down there. And so, basically Rawlings had me and another intern from Maryville, and that's it. So we lived in Florida for a couple months. We did get to go to like the College World Series, both men's and women's, which was awesome. But there was no one from Rawlings there that was like, hey, do this today, do this tomorrow, do this. So it was really a lot of responsibility placed on us as just finishing up our junior year. We got to run everything as it went to sales and inventory and like marketing, all the things that we would do down in Florida. We got to run all those operations, and they gave us a goal of about $30,000 over the course of the summer, and we sold $60,000. And so,
wow,
it was a really good experience, and yeah, it was a ton of fun, and they placed a lot of faith in us to accomplish it, and it was awesome. Just being able to have the responsibility that if we fail, it's on us. If we succeed, it's on us. And I think that was a really good experience. And then, so at this point, I had 5 internships. I was starting my senior year, and I knew I really loved sponsorship, really loved marketing. I was starting to kind of mold into what I wanted to do. And in my resume, I'd included some NFL, professional sports teams. I'd include product companies. I'd included collegiate sports and sales and marketing. So there's just a ton of experiences on there, and I wanted to really round it out. And so I ended up starting an internship with the St. Louis Blues and in operations.
Let's go Blues.
Yes, go Blues. Amen. This was the very start of their Stanley Cup run.
Yeah.
So I started an internship with the St. Louis Blues. I lasted about 10 days, and not for the wrong reason. So I ended up, and I was going to graduate early. I was going to graduate in December. Most likely, I brought in some really good dual credits from Marion, and I had taken some extra semesters and did some summer work. Which I was ready to graduate early, and so I was starting to look for jobs. And I found a company which I work for now. It's called Peak Sports Management. Peak Sports is a third-party sponsorship company, that works for colleges. And so basically it's a sales company that sells sports sponsorship on behalf of universities for the athletic program. So really what it does is it pairs sponsorship with sales. And basically all I do is I'm a marketing consultant for businesses. And so it got to really like mold all 3 of the favorite experiences I had and put them all together in one. And so I interviewed for the job at Peak Sports in October, and I got the job October 26th. And then they said, okay, you're moving to Thibodaux, Louisiana. And I moved to Thibodaux, Louisiana on November 10th. So I had to tell the St. Louis Blues, unfortunately, I'm not able to
Yeah.
continue my internship. But it was worth it because I got a full-time job.
Right.
So I worked in Thibodaux, Louisiana for a school called Nichols State University. It's a small FCS school in the Southland Conference, and had, I mean, if there's one thing that's to note about smaller universities is that you really get to dive into every opportunity, every experience. And so not only was I doing sales, sponsorship sales and marketing for businesses and trying to help them out, but I was getting operations with the university because I just needed help with things. And so I got to really push myself into all of the areas of the university. And so I had a ton of fun with at Nichols. It was great. I moved to Louisiana. I didn't know a single person in the state of Louisiana. And so I was a little bit.
Not for long. I bet for
Yeah.
less than 24 hours you didn't know anyone.
Yeah, and so I think that stuck with my theme of I want to get out of my comfort zone. I want to grow and become a good professional. And so I knew that adventure was out there, and I love St. Louis, and I loved the opportunities I had there, and I had a ton of fun working in St. Louis. But I knew that there was other opportunities out there, and I wanted to get started and travel and adventure and see what was out there. And so moved to the Bayou and had a blast in Louisiana. And the way that our company works with Peak is so they have about 15, 16 schools around the country now. And they hold the rights of sponsorship. And so there's two real positions. There's an account executive, which was I was. And so they are more the fulfillment and make sure we hold the bar to the deal and contracts and a little bit of sales. And then there's a general manager who just oversees the entire property, oversees all the initiatives, the sales, the sponsorship, oversees the account executive, kind of making sure that our property is running smoothly and is healthy and all that. And so real quick, like the sponsor department for university is incredibly important. I think here at Missouri Western, I work now. Our entire athletics is 90% externally funded, and so we get about 10% of our funds from the university, and 90% comes from raising money, which is essentially what sponsorship does. And so even at Nichols, I think it was even a little higher, like 92% or something. So it's vastly important, the sponsor department. And so the account executive and general manager are really relied upon to bring money in and to raise money, and that helps supplement salaries for coaches, do weight rooms, hotels on the road, meals, just really kind of bettering our whole student athlete experience. But when I was in Louisiana, I was there for about 6 months as an account executive, and I hit my sales goal of $50,000 in that 6 months. And then Peak felt comfortable moving me up to where I can be. I'm a general manager now at Missouri Western State University here in St. Joseph, Missouri. I've almost been here for about a year almost, which is crazy. But yeah, so I'm working with Peak, and so now I get to oversee the property here at Missouri Western. And so it's been a crazy road to get here, and I am so thankful for so many people that have helped me along the way, and I would not be here without Ms. Hudgens, without you, without a ton of people in Marion High School, without a ton of people at Maryville University and internships, and I wouldn't be where I am today or even close. So it's that was a ton of long story, but that's how I got.
That's the kind of thing that my students need to hear about. And so far, what keeps coming to the surface is the importance of internships and networking, and those organization skills. What I hear a lot of people say is once you get on the job, they'll train you the technical stuff that they want you to know for their company. But being responsible, being organized, having communication skills and networking, those are the things that help you stand apart.
Absolutely.
Virtually any profession,
Yeah.
So.
No, it is. I was looking at kind of as a ladder for sports. It was okay. I want to get volunteer opportunities, and then if you have some good volunteer opportunities on my resume, I can get an internship. And as for internships on my resume, that'll lead me to a job. And so it's like a step up, or kind of a ladder.
And I will say, I had no idea that Maryville offered the opportunities in sports business that they do until you went there. And I think Mr. Sinks was kind of the one that helped you connect with that specific school. But since then, we've seen other people go there as well. But yeah, I was just amazed at the crazy experience that you worked for those internships, but Maryville has a great platform to provide.
Absolutely.
So that's
Yeah.
very impressive.
They maybe I mean, they're trusted in the sport business community in St. Louis, and beyond. They're trusted as, hey, they're gonna give us students that are gonna be able to do the right work, do a good job. And one thing that I was really pleased with, and one of the reasons I chose Maryville, not only because it felt like a home for me and that kind of stuff, but I was an 18-year-old college freshman getting to work with an NFL. Like, most schools, okay, you get internship your junior or senior year, like, don't worry about it. You have to have one to graduate. Maryville is like, hey, it's your career, man. Like, how do you want to be looked at when you're finished at Maryville? And I was like, I have a ton of interest. I don't have a ton of experience. I want someone to say, wow, this guy, he didn't waste any time getting started. He was ready. And so they give those opportunities to people who they feel deserve it, but also people who are ready to work for it. And, freshman year, I was ready. I'm like, I'm not spending any time doing anything else. It's time to get rolling. I don't want to be seen as a professional in 3 years as a senior. I want to be seen as a professional today. And now, that way in 3 years, I'm even more ahead.
That's good advice. That's very good advice. So, so as far as what your day-to-day looks like, as the manager now, obviously it looks a little bit different right now because we're all sheltering in place, but on a typical day, what does your job entail?
Yes, that's a good question. My favorite part about the sports industry is that every single day is different. That is my absolute favorite part. So as a sponsorship, I get a lot of freedom. So Peak Sports is headquartered down in Frisco, Texas, and so I have bosses. They work in Texas, and so I've got a lot of freedom where I don't have to from 10 to 9 or from 10 to 11 do this, from 8 to 9 do this, from 4 to 5 do this. It's like, hey, this is your job. Your job is to make sales for the university. Your job is to get meetings with businesses. Your job is to make sure this happens. Like, I've got until Friday at 5 to make all those things happen. So I would say there isn't the best part about it. There's no typical day to day, but during the day I get to interact with businesses in the community. That's number one. I love relationship building. Like, that is just my favorite part. I was telling you, I'm a big, like, high five, handshakes kind of person. I want to be out there and talking to people and saying hi and talking about y'all business and all that. Much more than I like working from home. But
Yeah.
no, it's good. Shelter in place is good. But day to day, I get to talk with businesses every single day, and really just see is sponsoring Missouri Western, is that something that would make sense for your business? That's something that would grow your business, make you money, that kind of stuff, accomplish your business goals, really. And that's fun. I get to meet a lot of people, and I get to I can talk about sports a lot, which is even better. That just drives it even better. So day to day, I talk to businesses. There's a lot of internal stuff that's in the athletic department that I never even knew existed before working in athletics. And so there's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of internal initiatives that we have that to either better the better our impact on the community or better our student athlete experience or something like that. And so trying to get involved in those things and give ideas and hopefully give sponsorship to some of those things is a pretty important part of my job. I oversee an account executive and work with him on his sales and his opportunities and making sure that so like I said, account executive is all about fulfillment. So making sure that he's all on board with making sure that we hold up our end of the deal on something. If someone pays for a really cool baseball promotion on the field, we have to make sure we make that happen. We have to make sure that we provide what's called POP, proof of performance. We have, and so I have to kind of oversee that, make sure that we're doing all of that. But really, I'm dropping in businesses. I get to make calls. I get to talk with sponsors. I'm around the athletic department. It's pretty cool, pretty free, like free happening. So I get to decide what is most important, and then I get to do that, which I think is pretty cool.
So you work hand in hand with the athletic department at the university as well.
Yeah.
So you're contracted by the university, but really you're an integral part of the athletic department.
Yeah. So I gotta say, like, I don't work for Missouri Western. I work at Missouri Western. And so Missouri Western doesn't pay me or anything like that, but my job is dependent upon me, raising money for Missouri Western. And so, yeah, I kind of just said, 90% of what we do at Missouri Western, 90% of our budget is externally funded. Um, that's
Yeah,
that's a pretty big shock to a lot of people when they hear that.
that's huge.
So
Well,
that, yeah, so that's
on the local level, I feel like a lot of times we go to our local businesses and we expect that they're going to give money to whatever thing is going on at the school, because they want to support their community. But, I heard you talk about how you really have to present to those businesses how it's going to benefit them and grow them. You know,
yeah.
we get to just send in the cute kids in to ask for money, but you have to really justify their purchase with you.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it. Um, these businesses, I mean, they're smart, right? Like they've got marketing people who are, their job is to only spend their dollars on things that they really think will make sense for their business. And so what we like to say, I've got to be an expert on marketing, right? I've got to be an expert on our product. I got to be an expert on how our product can affect your business in a positive way. And so really that starts with, I have to find out about your business, right? Like there's a lot of people I call up and I want to meet and just find out about what y'all do. And then I gather a lot of information that says, and just find out about them, find out, what makes sense. That's kind of our first date. That's our first stage of relationship building where I just find out about what they do and then find out what their budget is. I say, okay, well, here's 3 or 4 really creative, cool ideas that I come up with that fit your business goals, that fit your budget, and then go from there. And so that's
Awesome.
I love being creative. Like I'd say I'm not a product pusher. I'm a marketing consultant. And so I sold bathroom floor signs. That's like, and so if you walk into a bathroom at Missouri Western basketball, you're going to stand on a scale, like a sticker it's a weight loss company that says, are you need a lifestyle change, question mark? And it's like people, it's like a really weird like sign or this business is like, hey, we want to be like, we want people to be like, what? Like we want people to notice us. I'm like, well, I'll get someone to notice you, like definitely. And I've had like 2 or 3 companies call me up like, well, you the guy that did the bathroom floor signs, we want something like that. Which is awesome. Like such
Awesome.
a creative piece. I wasn't just like, oh, well, here's your sign at baseball, leave me alone. It was like, oh,
That's
you want
awesome.
brand awareness? I'll give you some brand awareness. Like, let's do something really cool that no one's ever thought of before.
That
Uh,
is awesome.
so that's a really fun part is, we have the Golden Corral all you can eat seats. It's a random seat at a basketball game. If you sit in that seat, you won yourself a free buffet at Golden Corral, and your whole row wins a buy one get one free buffet.
Ooh.
Golden Corral saw 70% of those coupons back.
That's
Average is like 10 to 20%. So Golden Corral called me up and they're like, we want to do this for every sport. We don't care what it costs. Like, so it's that kind of stuff where I could have
awesome.
said, oh yeah, we're gonna do this whatever promotion, but I was like, oh, you guys are a buffet. What about all you can eat seat? Like that's what gets people businesses like turning.
I
Uh,
love it. That is so great. I
yeah,
love it. So now the execution of like, okay, so you had the idea for the signage on the floor in the bathroom. Do you design or do you work with a design team? Do you have like a third party that's creating the product, or do you do
so I have learned a lot about Photoshop in the last year and a couple months or whatever. I'm working with Peak Sports. Photoshop is really important in marketing in general, and it's huge. But for us, like Photoshop lets a business see what their logo looks like on our field. Oh,
that?
wow, I like the way my logo looks on y'all stadium. Like, so when I pitch someone an idea, I'm not letting them picture what it looks like. I'm showing them like this is what it's going to look like. Here's what your logo is going to look like on. And all of it's customized messages, and they get to really decide what it looks like. But yeah, so I work with Photoshop and do the design and make the presentation up. And so we have a presentation software that I use. I get to to let them know here's all the ideas I have. Here's what they look like packaged up. Here's what they look like in different ways. So, but
That's
yeah, so
neat to hear because marketing is very visual. Not everyone can picture what you have inside your head, no matter how descriptive you are. So
yeah,
I kind of tell my students that when we're doing pitches in class, like you have to have the visual aid. The people have to see what
absolutely,
you're talking about.
absolutely.
Well,
It,
that's
it and then it's just sales so much. Like if I try and sell someone without what I have to trust that I'm explaining it in a way that they're picturing what I'm talking about in my head at the same time. There's a lot of room for that to get mixed up there,
Yes.
and so it's a lot less where I can say, here's what I'm thinking, here's my creative idea, what do y'all think, and they can see it and say, oh wow, that was really cool, we really like
It leaves less room for interpretation that way, and just
that.
make sure everybody's on the same page. That's awesome. So I'm gonna wrap this up because we have about 8 minutes left. We're doing good, but I'm gonna wrap this up with just any advice you would like to give to specifically juniors and seniors, but things that you think would be important for them to know, or if you think back to Josh Parrish when he was at Marion High School as a junior or senior, what are the things that you would have liked to have known?
That's a good question. I find a college if college is for you and you want to go to college, find a college that feels like home. Find a college where you envision like growing as a person and you envision being a part of that community. I never toured Maryville University, which is crazy. I toured a bunch of other colleges and I was like, man, none of these really feel like boom. They don't feel like it. And so I went to campus one time at Maryville University. I didn't tour. I did a kind of scholarship competition thing, and just the people I met, I'm like, this is home. This place, it just feels different than every other college campus I've been on. And I was like, I want to be part of the community here. Mm-hmm. And so I would encourage y'all, like, don't settle for a college where you're like, kind of, I don't really feel it, but I hope in 3 years I will. I felt day one, I'm like, this place is a home for me. And the people here are amazing. The people I want to grow with and that kind of stuff. Other than that, I think I've mentioned this a couple times, but get out of your comfort zone. That's huge. Like, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And so as an 18-year-old, it would have been really easy for me to be like, I'm not ready to work for the St. Louis Rams. I'll do it next year. Well, guess what? They weren't there next year. So there wasn't been a man next year. They moved to Los Angeles. Like, I don't want to go to New Mexico. I want to stay in my comfort zone. Well, then I wouldn't have those experiences. I don't want to move to Florida or Louisiana. I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I moved to Louisiana, right? So get out of your comfort zone and just soak it in. Make mistakes. Like, I made a bunch of mistakes. I was working for the Missouri Valley Conference as a 19-year-old. I made a ton of mistakes, like, where they would have to be like, no, this is how we do. Like, no, this is what it is. But that's where a lot of learning happened. And then last thing, it would just be comfortable talking with professionals in your industry. Like, if you want to go into nursing, like, be comfortable talking with people who are nurses. Be comfortable if you want to go into business. Like, get comfortable talking to people who work in the business world. Like, there's never a bad time to have those kind of conversations where you can network and grow. But for me, I had a really couple of conversations where I was pretty awkward as an individual. That I was like, man, I don't even know what to say to these people. Like, they're working like in sports. Like, that's where I want to be. What do I say? And so it got really awkward. Like, the first 2 or 3 times I tried, 4 or 5 times maybe, that I tried talking with professionals. Once I figured it out, it was like, oh, you're just people. And I got to work and talk and grow and learn, and that was good. And I think bunch of those awkward conversations happened working for NAIA sales, where I didn't know how to talk to a CEO. Like, I'm like, oh, this person owns a business. What am I supposed to say? Like, so having those conversations helps me now when I talk with owners, CEOs, presidents all the time. So yeah, that's my advice. Yeah, but get uncomfortable.
Don't you think, you're talking about how you made mistakes or even, didn't know how to start conversations. Don't you think, though, people are forgiving of mistakes when they know you're genuine and they know you're highly motivated and they know that your attitude is such that you're trying to do a good job. So even when you make those mistakes, they're learning opportunities, and people are much more forgiving of someone who made a mistake, who was actually doing and trying, than someone who's sitting back and not giving, their full effort.
Absolutely. That's a big piece of it. And I use the student card a lot. I was a student. I'm able to figure out more. When I was a freshman, I just randomly contacted the director of sponsorship for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I was like, hey, man, I want to just chat with you about what you do. I'm a student. I want to learn. And he was like, all right, let's have a call for an hour next week or something. So he was really willing just to help me out. And I was like, oh, man, I better come up with some questions to talk to this guy about. But, yeah, so like that kind of stuff, use a student card like that you want to learn, that you want to grow. And most people are forgiving. Most people are willing to help out students because to get where they're at, someone had to help them out too. So that's why people are willing.
Exactly. Well, this has been so enjoyable. You're one of my favorite people in the world, and it's so good to catch up with you and just to see you flourishing and doing what you love. It's just really neat to see. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that with us today, Josh. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Hudgens and students. If you ever need anything, reach out to me. If you got a LinkedIn or something like that, whatever, shoot me a message. Like I said, I'm happy to help out with anything.
Thank you so much.